These are the scariest moments in NFL history.
Not what any of us want to see, and everybody's around him.
Hurdles, kicks him in.
At first, these fans were cheering so hard, the stadium collapsed. Damn, Hurts barely escaped the pile. Unlike this ref, because he got trapped under an entire football team.
Scramble for the ball inside the 5. He's got it. And Ron Winter just got buried. Oh.
Dude was praying for his life under there. That's nothing compared to our next moment, as Patrick Willis took a player's soul.
Oh, what a hit. Look out, Brad Smith. My goodness. I'm not sure about this one.
Ouch. That was straight up assault. What Albert Hainsworth did was insane, because you wouldn't believe what happened when he lost his cool.
Right there.
Oh, my gosh.
That's uncalled for, man.
That is unbelievable.
Dude was terrifying when he lost his mind. But Tua Tagovailoa's concussion will leave you stunned. Just watch Tua keep playing after getting knocked out.
Tua Tagovailoa throwing off his back foot with the rush in his face there. Tagovailoa suffered some type of an injury on this play. Oh, my goodness. That's an awful sight to see.
Dude could have died out there. And then there's Myles Garrett, who had no regard for human life. You see, Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph got into a scuffle. So Garrett grabbed his helmet and went for his head.
Mason Rudolph got all things to get out of there. What in the world?
Dude turned into a straight demon. But look, these moments have been terrifying. What we have coming up really had these players in fear. Because what the Seahawks coaches did to their players is unforgivable.
We got 4 away games in a row. We played on the same game with
No bye week after the Germany game.
Are you serious?
Swear.
You guys are on the road the next weeks, and then going back to LA the following week and to play the Chargers, and then the following week you have your bye week.
Hey, you got a bunch of guys in here that believe what the hell you're telling them is the truth. This ain't real. What are you talking about?
You should see what I would do to my boss if he told me I had no days off. But there's no joke about what happened to Alex Smith. You see, Smith dropped back for a pass when everything went horribly wrong. His legs snapped in the way never seen before, and things were about to get much worse, because doctors found an infection and thought about completely amputating his leg. Smith went through 17 grueling surgeries and was told that he would never walk again. My man wasn't just fighting for his football career, he was fighting for his life. And not only was he able to walk, he returned to the field 2 years later, completing one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history.
Here he is coming back on an NFL football field. And he's going to throw and complete it to McKissick. What a nervous moment this must be for them. And they love it.
But another player cheated death, because Brian Robinson thought he was on his deathbed. You see, it was his rookie year, and Robinson was enjoying a night out with his friends. But when he was walking back to his car, he saw 2 people trying to steal it. Robinson wasn't going to let them take what he had worked hard for, but these guys were willing to take things further, and so they pulled out a gun and fired off rounds.
Brian Robinson Jr., a rookie running back with the Washington Commanders, was shot in an apparent robbery yesterday.
Robinson had 2 gunshot wounds to his lower body, and he was rushed to the hospital.
This was straight out of a nightmare. Robinson was just 2 weeks away from his rookie debut, but he got lucky and got to live another day. Look, scary moments are endless for players, but imagine a whole stadium in fear. Because we got to talk about the time Minnesota experienced the worst storm ever, and the stadium literally broke open. Luckily, nobody was in the stadium. The Vikings had to play at a college stadium for the rest of the year. However, the Vikings aren't the only ones with a stadium that almost ended lives, because fans at the Saints game were nearly burnt alive. See, the Saints were in the middle of the game when the Jumbotron caught on fire.
And went up there and hit the rope. And then they didn't know what to do, and they sent this guy out. I put that guy in the All-Madden team. It was against the 49ers. Then the fire comes down here. Watch the first guy who comes to put it out. He brings a cup. What are you doing, kidding me? I tell you, that is a stubborn one. He got it, though.
Yep. He'll get an ovation.
It got really hot in there. One player is lucky only his hand blew up, because Jason Pierre-Paul's 4th of July celebration turned into a catastrophe. You see, JPP was having fun with his family. He was popping fireworks all night long for the kids. And when Paul went to light the last firework for the night, his life changed forever.
Because the truck was right here. I was facing this way, and I lit it. Like, it was right here. As soon as I lit it, I heard, boom, I jumped like this. couldn't see anything. It was like just straight white and green, the lights that go up in the air or whatever. So when I got up, my fiance was just screaming like, I got up like it was normal. You know what I mean? Make sure I was okay. I didn't check my hand at the time. I'm just happy that, you know what I'm saying? Nobody got hurt or anything. That's how you know, our fiance she's just going crazy. I'm like, excuse me, I'm like, what the is your problem? You know what I mean? She's like, your hand. And I looked at my hand, I said, shit.
Paul faced the scariest moment of his life and was lucky to make millions afterwards. Some players aren't so fortunate. Just imagine visiting your hometown and almost being murdered, because that's exactly what happened to Patrick Mahomes during his rookie season. You see, Mahomes and his boys just got back home from a baseball game, thinking it was going to be a chill night. But what they didn't know was that they were being followed by two men. Suddenly, one man flashed a gun and demanded everything they had. Mahomes then called the police as soon as possible, and they went on a high-speed chase until the robbers were finally caught.
The suspect, Michael Pinkerton, told Mahomes and his friends that he, quote, had a heater as he robbed them just east of Tyler last Friday night. Now, the sheriff says Pinkerton demanded everything from the victims, their wallets, and even their shoes. The suspect drove away, but Sheriff Larry Smith says he came back by the house, and that prompted a chase with deputies. They eventually pulled the car over, finding stolen items along with drugs inside.
Man, imagine if we never got the GOAT Mahomes. Staring down a gun barrel is scary. Shannon Sharp saw something even more insane, because he got so scared, he hasn't been to a woman's house in over 30 years. You see, Shannon was living it up in Denver on draft night, but he was still in college in Georgia. He needed to drive all the way back home in the middle of the night, but he didn't want to wake up his grandma, so he called one of his girlfriends and asked if he could spend the night. Shannon thought about being a bad boy, but something told him not to, and it's a good thing that he did, because he almost lost everything he came with. You would think Uncle Shay learned his lesson. This next time, he was praying to make it out alive. You see, Sharp was a superstar in the NFL now, and he was getting paid. My man had a Rolex, gold chain, and was shining. Look, it was homecoming weekend at his old college, and he needed to go back and flex. Dude went to meet an old girlfriend again, and he was practically naked when he was in the face of death. Shannon was scared straight and speeded right back to Denver. But one thing was missing, his $50,000 Rolex. So he flipped the car around and went back.
Oh, I said, homeboy, I left my Rollie in there. He said, man, F. I said, man, you better turn this mofo around. I'm going to get my joint.
You went and got it?
Did I? Boy, that was 50 bands. Boy, did I? Hey, I said, my man, my Rollie on the dresser. He said, here you go, my man. I got it. I said,
never
Lord.
again. So that's why it's been 30 years, huh?
I can't sleep.
Life wasn't so forgiving in her next moment, because Ryan Shazier made a tackle with his head down and made the worst possible mistake.
And Ryan Shazier, the leader of this Pittsburgh defense, is not getting up.
All you can do is hope and pray that Ryan Shazier is okay.
In a matter of seconds, Shazier went from one of the league's top linebackers to being paralyzed from the head down. The game was taken from Shazier. And even worse, the doctors told him he would never walk again. But Shazier wasn't giving up. He went hard in the gym. And the next thing you know, he's back on his feet to announce the Steelers' draft pick the next year.
And with the 28th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Terrell Edmonds.
Life on an NFL field is dangerous, but it can even get more dangerous in the streets, because Stephen Bailey barely escaped death. While he was spending time with family in Miami, he was suddenly ambushed out of nowhere. 2 shots were fired at Bailey's head. He felt something missing from his head, and surprisingly, he was still breathing. He then rushed to the hospital and walked into the ER himself. Bailey was put into a medically induced coma and underwent brain surgery. And against all odds, he survived. Now, Bailey is using his story to speak out against gun violence.
You know, the way you respond to these different acts of adversity is what defines you, and I wanted to make sure if I can control what I'm going through, then, you know, I'm going to make sure I'm creating a light for other people to see, and just know that, you know, you trust in God and just keep working hard. You know, you can overcome so many things.
But that's how you turn pain into triumph. But what happened at Super Bowl 47 had people's hearts stop. Just imagine 70,000 fans at the biggest game in the world when the unthinkable happened.
Why'd the clock stop? All of the lights on the 49ers side of the Superdome are out. You can only imagine the scramble officials are going through.
The players now beginning to realize this may be a little bit of a delay as different players sitting out on the field starting to stretch, trying to stay loose.
The Super Bowl was plunged into darkness, leaving tens of thousands in panic. People feared it was an act of terrorism. Crews scrambled and the NFL was on edge. The game was delayed for an entire 34 minutes. And luckily, they found their answer. The NFL escaped the catastrophe, but everyone was left asking, what the hell just happened? But we're in our last few moments, and they really had fans panicking. Just like what happened in a game the NFL wants you to forget. Look, the Cleveland Brown fans were so angry, they created the most dangerous sports scene in NFL history. Bottlegate. Right here, the Browns were on a fourth-quarter drive to win the game. They spiked the ball to stop the clock, and so the refs decided to break the rules. They wanted to review a moment that happened 2 plays ago, which is illegal. And so Browns fans were fed up. They started throwing glass bottles onto the field, which caused such a panic the refs didn't know what to do. So they called the game over. All the players and refs ran through the locker room. They got pummeled.
Nobody has any idea what's going on because they're not telling us.
I think this has been just a fiasco by the referees today.
Well, that was the right call. You got to end the game. The fans are throwing crap on the field.
Especially when you consider how big of a game this was for the Cleveland Browns. This is ridiculous.
Running through glass and getting glass thrown at you is terrifying. But imagine playing football with a price on your head. And the Saints did just that. See, the same players were paid cold hard cash for brutal hits. And this controversy was known as a bounty. And just imagine their coach being the ringleader. Because Coach Greg Williams was telling players to do the unbelievable.
His body was not thing in the world to make sure we kill Rainbow Kid. We want him running sideways. We want his head sideways.
That's right. Saints were paid extra for tearing ACLs, giving concussions, and it didn't even matter what position you played. Because even players on special teams were getting paid hundreds for bone-crushing hits. And prices skyrocketed when Hall of Famers were involved. Because Jonathan Vilma was offered thousands to knock out Brett Favre. However, the Saints couldn't keep this up forever. And the NFL eventually cracked down and gave Greg Williams an indefinite suspension. What happened to DeMar Hamlin shook the entire nation. Because this safety died in the middle of the game and came back to life. See, it was 2022. The Bills and Bengals were playing, and this country was about to witness the scariest moment in NFL history. Hamlin was making a routine tackle, like he's been doing his entire career, but in a matter of moments, he collapsed. Players watched helplessly. Trainers sprinted onto the field and found that his heart wasn't beating. Technically, he was dead, and time was ticking. More doctors arrived and did CPR for 10 minutes on the field, but DeMar wasn't waking up. They rushed him to the hospital. He was placed on a ventilator. Everyone thought they would have horrors for a lifetime from seeing a man die right in front of them. But hope wasn't lost, because 9 minutes later, DeMar started breathing again. He was unconscious for 3 days, and by a miracle, he woke up. Despite all of this, DeMar was still locked into the game. The first words he said to the doctor was, "Did we win?" The doctor said to him, "You won the game of life." And so the world was ecstatic to hear the news. And everyone had the same question, will he ever play again? And on August 12th, 2023, DeMar put on the shoulders and pads again, doing what he loves to do. My man did the impossible. But look, if you thought these moments were intense, imagine becoming one of the greatest players without being able to move. Because that's actually what one NFL star did.